This is a quick little overview video of the wholesale management and arbitrage opportunity lead generation and management system that I've created. I'll do a couple more videos which go into some of these things in a little bit more detail, but this just gives a overview of the sort of things that it can do. So this bit here is just really setting up the directories that all of the relevant files and spreadsheets are in. So basically I can start off with, I can take a supplier price file. So if I've got a price list from a wholesaler or a price list that I've got and I want to validate how good it is in terms of opportunities, then first of all I would run that through the supplier list validation. And what that does is it looks for all of the barcodes on a keeper, brings in the keeper information, and it just does a quick validation on how good the list is. So in this example, I've got in some various parameters here that I'm using to select the items, and then really just gives me a breakdown of how many have passed all of the tests and how many are close to it, and then gives me a breakdown of products that haven't qualified and why they haven't qualified. So in this instance, these are price range, 4-star rating, no sales history, and then I've got some other report that gives you much more information on what has passed and what the potential profit and profit margin is. So this is all based on the current pricing on Amazon, and if it finds anything where there is a barcode for whatever reason it finds on Keeper that isn't on the supplier list, it works out what the maximum cost you would pay for that product to make the minimum margin. So it does all of that stuff in the background. Once I've got my supplier list validated, I can update that to a master supplier list. So what I'm then doing is taking the supplier lists that I've got that are all in different formats and consolidating them into one big master supplier list in a standard format. And that means that if I have a barcode that is available from, say, 3 or 4 suppliers, it will be on that file, and I will, if I'm researching that product, it finds the initial product with the lowest price to start with. And then if, for example, that supplier is out of stock, at least then I know that I have 3 other potential suppliers that I can look at to see if that product is available. So that's taking the price lists into consideration. What I then do is I take the information, and I can either do this from a supplier list into Amazon perspective or an Amazon out perspective and create an opportunity file. So this is something that I would do. So I would run this opportunity generation process, which basically then takes all of the valid supplier list barcodes, or if I've created a list from Keeper, for example, say based on a certain category, I import that into this system, and then this process here basically does a lot of initial validation on those items. So not only does it look at the current price of the product, so for example, if a product was selling for £20 and I knew I could get it from a supplier for £5, and it works out that the margin is 11%, which is above the 10% that I would be looking for. It also then looks at how that product is sold previously, and is there any opportunities to sell at a higher price. So if in the last 6 months the product is sold for £30, it will go, well, actually currently the product's selling for this amount, and you can make a minimum of 10%, but there is an opportunity to sell it at a higher margin. So it does all of that. What it also does is when I start showing you this opportunity and lead management, you can track obviously brands that are, say, for example, gated, and there's just you just can't sell them. So maybe, for example, it's a brand that is gated and there are no accepted applications for. So if in this process, if you flag that brand, it will store it in this file here, gated brands, and then the next time we run any opportunity generation or it takes it out of the lead management system, you don't see them again. And also for ASINs, if you're looking at particular ASINs and trying to validate if they're eligible to sell, so you might look at a particular ASIN and it's hazmat, and you don't really want to deal with hazmat, you can update it as hazmat. It goes into this file, and then the next time I do any imports or opportunity generation, it discards that. ASIN, so it doesn't even bring it into the system. So what it's doing is it's saving a lot of time going through the initial validation of ASINs and making sure you're not reworking stuff that you've already looked at previously. So that this opportunity generation process creates a file full of all of the opportunities. Once that opportunity file is created, then we can import that into the system, and that then leads into opportunity and lead management. So I would then use this opportunity and lead management screen to start honing in on any particular lists that I've worked with. Maybe they've got a particular supplier. I might want to look at a particular category, subcategory, or even down to a particular brand. So, and then what this is giving us here is a real snapshot of what are the wholesale stroke arbitrage opportunities within the particular thing that I'm looking at. So in this case, Oral-B, there are 15 opportunities that have passed all of the initial tests in terms of, the ranking, the price, competing offers, etc. 2 of them have suppliers. 2 of them are profitable on the current buy box value, but 11 of them are profitable on the buy box, but have sold at a higher price. And then we've got some other stats here as to how many of them are there where Amazon are out of stock. What's the average offers, the average competitive sellers, what's the average percentage that the top seller of this product is winning the buy box by, etc., etc. So I also then pick up some potential sales figures. So if the products have figures from Amazon, where you see that Amazon bought last month, it goes in here. So this is a reasonably accurate figure because this is what Amazon are telling us the products are selling. If the products have not got any bought last month figures, then I work out an estimate, and it is purely an estimate based on bestseller rankings. And if it's too low on the bestseller rankings, I at least drop in a sales rank drop figure. So at least we can see, there maybe is some potential because the BSR is dropping. So therefore, then it must be making sales. Then I'm getting the average sales per ASIN, average current price. What's the average price that it's sold at higher? And then in terms of these figures, what's the average profit in the for this particular brand? What's the average profit margin, and what's the average current return on investment? And these ones all down here, you can see these are all 10%. That's because these ones here were ran from a file that I was saying, right, I'm looking for a minimum of 10% profit margin. So in the background, it would have worked out for the ASINs for these brands that if I want to make a 10% profit margin, it works out the maximum cost that I can pay for that product, and then works the profit and the profit margins out based on that number. So that's why these are all 10%. So if you can imagine, if you were doing this manually, you would be bringing up these ASINs one at a time and looking at them to get it to where this gets, and this is basically providing all that information. So from here you can then select the particular item that you want to look at, and then start to look at those particular opportunities in much more detail. And I will do another video which goes into this in a lot more detail. But basically here, so these are all the opportunities. I would use this system to either select them to convert to leads, or qualify them out based on the brand is gated, or the ASIN is too competitive, etc., etc. So anything that I qualify out here, the next time we run the opportunity generation process, any item in here that's been qualified out won't appear. So again, if I'm looking at this 6 months time and I'm thinking, oh great, Oral-B looks a good product, forgetting that I've already looked at it, or forgetting which ASINs I've looked at, it won't appear. But if Oral-B have added a new product on Amazon which does pass all the tests and I haven't currently looked at, then it will appear in this list. So hopefully that gives you a good overview of what the system can deliver. And I think there's a lot of potential here for maybe working with sellers to validate their price lists for them, to take their price lists and create this system for them so they can manage their leads. Yeah, so let's hope you found this interesting. And I put a lot of time and effort into doing this, so I think I've covered all the bases, but I would be interested in any feedback that you may have, and any ideas that you may have on how this could work for us all. Thanks for your time, and I'm going to go off and make another video to show the opportunities and lead management process in action. Thanks.